The top stories: Ethiopian Foreign Minister Gideon holds talks with counterparts from Brazil and Russia. And renowned African analyst Lawrence Freeman says Ethiopia's geopolitical strategy is key to securing sea access and strengthening economic leadership in the Horn of Africa. Hello and welcome to EBC World, the voice of Pan-Africanism with the news. I'm Tabitha John. Do stay with us. Ethiopia's Foreign Minister Gideon Timotheos on first BRICS Foreign Ministers meeting of 2025 reaffirmed Ethiopia's commitment to multilateralism and collective security. The first BRICS Foreign Ministers meeting of 2025 kicked off on Monday in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, according to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The ministers from member states of the bloc are convening the session under the theme, The Role of BRICS in Addressing Global and Regional Crises and Advancing Pathways to Peace and Security. In his remarks, Foreign Minister Gideon Timotheos reaffirmed Ethiopia's commitment to multilateralism and collective security. He also reasserted the need to reform global governance to ensure equitable representation of developing countries, especially from Africa. The minister underscored that reform of global governance institutions must aim at strengthening multilateralism with the United Nations as its center. Meanwhile, Minister of Foreign Affairs Gideon Timotheos met with his Brazilian and Russian counterparts, Mauro Vieira and Sergei Lavrov, respectively, on the margins of the first BRICS Foreign Ministers meeting of 2025. During his meeting with the Brazilian Foreign Minister Vieira, Gideon commended Brazil's effective presidency of the BRICS for 2025 and assured his country's support for its priority areas. The parties discussed cooperation in food security, agricultural productivity, reform of global governance institutions, energy transition and afforestation programs. Minister Vieira presented Brazil's initiatives from the G20 presidency in 2024 and commended Ethiopia for its support, especially as a member of the Board of Champions of the Global Alliance Against Poverty and Hunger. Similarly, in his meeting with Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov, Gideon lauded the strengthening of comprehensive relations between Ethiopia and Russia and emphasized the need to further enhance ties. Foreign Minister Lavrov, on his part, reaffirmed Russia's commitment to deepen the historic relations through concrete collaboration in bilateral and multilateral venues. Ethiopia's Finance Minister Ahmed Shide met with the Vice President of the European Investment Bank, Ambrios Fayole, and held a productive meeting on development and investment cooperation. The minister expressed gratitude to the European Investment Bank for its continued and steadfast support to Ethiopia, particularly in the areas of SME finance, water, sanitation and hygiene, and women entrepreneurship development, which have made a tangible contribution in advancing Ethiopia's economic growth and social development. European Investment Bank Vice President, on his part, reaffirmed the bank's full commitment to scale up engagement in Ethiopia in priority areas that will accelerate the country's economic development and growth. This commitment includes exploring financing options for the new international airport project, according to the Ministry of Finance. Welcome back. Approached by EBC World's Addis Dialogue, political and economic analyst for Africa Lawrence Freeman said navigating the geopolitical landscape and forging agreements with neighboring countries will be crucial to realizing the pursuit of sea access and further solidifying Ethiopia's position as a driving force in the Horn of Africa's economic development. Freeman also stated that countries of the region need to formulate economic policy arrangements that will work as per the interests from each nation. Tegus Harnisa takes it from here.
Ethiopia, with a population projected to reach 150 million by 2030, finds itself in a unique geopolitical position as a landlocked nation in the Horn of Africa. Ethiopia's desire for access to the sea is a matter considered existential for the nation. A UN study in 2018 indicates that direct sea access can account for up to 25 to 30% of a country's GDP, particularly as its population and economy continues to grow. Securing access to the sea is expected to be an economic imperative for Ethiopia. Talking to EBC World's Addis Dialogue, political and economic analyst for Africa Lawrence Freeman has reiterated that the fact that Ethiopia being a landlocked country has been the problem.
The problem is that Ethiopia is landlocked, and the other countries that have access, who have coastlines on the major waterway from the Indian Ocean to the Suez Canal, those countries are sovereign countries. So the question is, how do you make an arrangement with those nations?
Freeman further added that the countries of the region need to formulate economic policy arrangements that will work as per interests of each nation.
And sovereign nations have to sit down and negotiate arrangements. Ethiopia should have a port, but you have all kinds of machinations, as you said, going all the way back to 1952, involving the British, involving the Italians, and involving previous administrations of Ethiopia that unfortunately have left Ethiopia in this position. So how do you change it? You change it by formulating economic policy arrangements that are in the interest of Ethiopia and in the interest of the country that Ethiopia chooses to use as a port access.
With regard to realizing economic integration, the analyst highlighted that pursuing public or classified discussions amongst the nations in the region is pivotal.
So we have to pursue discussions, either publicly or privately. I would say we have a conference and we map out all the advantages economically to development of a port for Ethiopia on the sea. And we discuss how that could create advantages for other nations. But there is no other way of proceeding unless you do want to just create a war situation and conflict, which I abhor. Any war that occurs in the Horn of Africa would be a complete disaster. And no leader of any of those countries should be participating in any policy that could lead to confrontation. Military confrontation should be taken off the table 100%, regardless of what discussions lead to.
Gaining access to the sea contributes to alleviating the economic challenges Ethiopia has been exposed to, and on top of that, it is expected to accelerate the regional economic integration among the countries in the region.
Ethiopia launches a 5-year comprehensive groundwater resources initiative aimed at identifying and mapping their resources throughout the country in Addis Ababa. Minister of Water and Energy Habtamu Itefa says the initiative carries out a thorough investigation and analysis of the country's groundwater availability, distribution, and quality, crucial for the country's sustainable water management and resource planning. Shagao Yamato has more from the Ethiopian news agency Dispatch.
A comprehensive groundwater resources initiative aimed at identifying and mapping the resources throughout Ethiopia was launched on Monday in Addis Ababa. The project focuses on identifying and harnessing groundwater resources for the development of the country. Ethiopia's Hawassa University and Haramaya University, in collaboration with Aarhus University of Denmark, are engaged to carry out the mapping project. Minister of Water and Energy Haftamu Itafa indicated that the initiative is vital to effectively utilize and develop future projects to promote sustainable water management and address the water needs of the population.
The primary objectives of the groundwater mapping project include an analysis of how these resources can be effectively utilized and developed to support future projects to promote sustainable water management and address the water needs of the population. Although Ethiopia is widely recognized for its considerable and diverse water resources, it is important that these resources must be carefully utilized for development. While groundwater is always available, its quality requires many works. In some places, it is not used because it contains fluoride and chloride and other chemicals. Therefore, identifying these specific water areas will serve as a valuable resources and an essential starting point for the development of future national projects related to water resource management and improvement.
Danish ambassador to Ethiopia on his part pointed out that apart from the provision of budgetary support, his primary focus would be, among others, facilitating the exchange of vital information, promoting the transfer of knowledge, and exploring various collaborative initiatives.
Access to water and water management, and this includes capacity building of key institutions, but it also includes access to wash projects in rural areas, and I'm very happy to see today that stakeholders from Denmark coming here to Ethiopia to make sure that we strengthen capacity and that we can transfer technology, modern technology, from a Danish context to Ethiopia. So very important that we continue to strengthen the cooperation. Up until now, Denmark, support from Denmark within the water sector has helped gaining access. 400,000 people have gained access to water, and so we want to continue this and generate these very important results.
According to the ambassador, enhancing the ongoing research efforts related to groundwater investigations through collaborative partnerships with universities in Ethiopia will be his priority, noting the various water projects Denmark has in all regions of Ethiopia.
In the water sector, in our water cooperation, we are working in almost all sectors, all regions of Ethiopia. But specifically for this project, we focus on a few pilot regions in Ethiopia. But the message today from the representative from the Danish University was very clear. We want to expand the cooperation, we want to move into other regions, and that's why we call on interested parties to come forward and reach out to the partners in this project so we can expand geographically in Ethiopia.
The Minister of Water and Energy, Haftamu Itafa, expressed gratitude to the support of the Danish government through financial contributions, provision of essential materials, as well as human resources, all of which have been instrumental in implementing the project.
And finally, the establishment of China Chamber of Commerce to Africa marked a significant milestone in the economic and trade cooperation between China and Africa, China head of mission to the African Union, Ambassador Hu Changchun, said. The head of mission, Ambassador Changchun, made the remarks during the inauguration ceremony held last night in Addis Ababa. The chamber intends to serve as a platform for bridging Chinese and African markets and facilitating economic cooperation, he added. Listen to this.
The establishment of China Chamber of Commerce to Africa on the guidance of the mission of China to the African Union is intended to serve this purpose. As a platform for dialogue and collaboration, the Chamber is founded to bridge Chinese and African markets and facilitate economic cooperation.
According to the ambassador, the chamber will create better synergies for China-Africa economic cooperation and enable friendship to grow even stronger.
The chamber aims to mobilize resources and build an ecosystem for common prosperity. It is also committed to promoting development and social responsibility, and bring in tangible benefits to African peoples.
You're watching ABC. A quick reminder of the stories making headlines. Ethiopian Foreign Minister Gideon holds talks with counterparts from Brazil and Russia. And renowned Africa analyst Lawrence Freeman says Ethiopia's geopolitical strategy is key to securing sea access and strengthening economic leadership in the Horn of Africa. And that's all we had for now. I'm Tabitha Germany. Thanks for watching. Goodbye for now and do take care.